Good evening. A major anti-government rally has kicked off in Hong Kong. Thousands are already on the streets, but organisers are hoping to draw more than 1 million people to this demonstration. As SBS reporter Omar Dabbagh reports from Victoria Park, tens of thousands are braving the rain to get their message across.
Protesters had been told to save their energy for tonight and occupy the streets en masse once again. It appears they listened. Hong Kong's Victoria Park overwhelmed.
We want to try our very best to retain what we have, the freedom. We don't want to give it up.
Police approved this anti-government protest to be an assembly and ordered people not to march, an order many say will be ignored.
Give us the democracy you promised back in 1997. One country, two systems. We stick to it. We don't want like independence, but we want true democracy.
Yesterday in Admiralty, a pro-government rally praised police for their efforts and called for the violence that's engulfed Hong Kong for the past 11 weeks to end.
The situation right now is pretty chaotic and messy, and it's caused unease in everybody. We are supposed to live in the same peaceful home, but it seems they're now trying to destroy it.
Organisers say almost 500,000 people attended that rally, but even the police they were supporting disputed that number, putting it closer to 100,000. Across the harbour, more people, more protests. This time, police and the Hong Kong government were condemned
Hong Kong independence
for how they've handled the fallout from the now shelved bill that would have allowed people to be extradited to mainland China.
They are overpowered and they use the violence against the protester, but we have the right freedom to express our view, but they just ignore our opinion.
These Saturday rallies much more peaceful than in previous weeks. After the march in Hong Kong, many headed home early, others agitated, egging the office of a pro-Beijing political party before taking the hour-long walk to Mong Kok police station. After a brief standoff, protesters moved on, before this show of force by police. And in an instant, just like every other Saturday for the past 2.5 months, within a moment, Hong Kong police and anti-riot squads came to the streets. Now we're in Mong Kok, moving towards Jordan. This is an effort by police to push the protesters away and to further push their cause down and stifle them ahead of any further clashes. But as you can hear here, the protesters are starting to get extremely frustrated. But a moment later, it was all over. Riot police moving on, no major incidents reported, and protesters nowhere to be seen. But fears of violence always present.
Both sides are very anxious and very fearful. Protesters have thrown bricks at police. There have been accusations of unknown liquids and toxic substances. So the police themselves do feel, of course, quite anxious about their own safety.
A fear of what could come as China, its military still near Hong Kong's border, and the world watch on.
And our reporter Omar Dabbagh joins us now live from Hong Kong. Omar, it is of course the 11th weekend of protests, but it looks pretty soggy there behind you, so it looks like Mother Nature hasn't been kind to the protesters today.
Yeah, that's right, Janice, but the picture and backdrop behind me doesn't do what is happening right now in Hong Kong justice. Signals are jammed because the streets at Causeway Bay, just right around the block, are at capacity. It was an incredible sight, still ongoing, scores and scores of umbrellas, people even to the sides undercover yelling the anti-government slogans. Just that sense of solidarity is overwhelming here in Hong Kong, and that is actually in defiance to the police authorization for today's rally. They only authorized the protesters here to be at the Victoria Park, which was right a few blocks from here, but within an hour people spilled onto the streets and jam-packed Causeway Bay, and now even despite this rain which I'm under, people are still going, but it is quite an interesting backdrop with the sites over here just really being overwhelming and people moving to the side here as well.
And Omar, of course the international community is keeping a close eye on events there, but particularly it seems in Taiwan.
Yeah, that's right, Janice. In Taiwan, there was a pro-democracy protest in support for the protesters here, collecting about 1,000 gas masks and about 700 or so helmets for the protesters here. It's unclear how they'll get those items to the people here, though. Also, the Lenin walls that have popped up in Hong Kong have also popped up in Taiwan. Those are slogans and messages of support for the movement here. Taiwan's significance and interest to this all, Janice, is because of Beijing. It's watching a keen eye, Taiwan, on Beijing's actions and reactions to the protests here, mainly because China has been trying to make a move for and offered for Taiwan to accept a similar deal to what Hong Kong has, which is the one state, two systems rule.
Thank you so much. That's Omar Dabbagh bringing us the latest from the streets of Hong Kong.